we have a bolter out there. There's a horse that got spooks and bolts. The horse got spooked, bolts, and takes off and bends, or and she come off. So she said he's good at the stick and string. So good is always relative to what we know and what we've seen. So she's been here for a whole summer, so she's seen quite a bit. So she should have a pretty good idea what good is, what I would call good, because my good and maybe somebody else's good might be on different planets. But if he's good with the strict, what I would call good, we go great. And then she said, but she brings the flag out, he gets pretty nervous about the flag. And he kind of freezes up. So then I say, yeah, well then use the flag and get that thing happening too. The other thing that I would say, because we're trying to fix the problem, but say is that I was just at Carl Hester dressage clinic, and he's like one of the well-known dressage guys in the world right now. He's one of the more famous dressage clinicians in the world at this moment. Went and watched him, and one of the things that he said at the thing was, you should be thinking about 1,000. Whatever you do, you should do it 1,000 times. You want to get a good stop, it's going to be at least 1,000 times, more. You want to do transitions, you should be doing your walk trot transition 1,000 times. So people might go, 1,000? Is he serious about 1,000? But yeah, more than 1,000 actually. It's more than 1,000. So I ask people to do trot around and bend their horses, do lateral flexion, like walk around, lateral flexion, trot around, lateral flexion, canter around, lateral flexion. And I say, could you give me 20 on each side? That's a long ways from 1,000, but I'm thought, let's start low and see if I can get 20 of them. Basically, no is the answer. No, we can't get 20. So unless I got some students that are real listeners and real doers, I cannot get them to do 20 bends. So this doesn't fix a bolter, but it keeps you in the saddle. So if you reach down and bend that horse and you've been practicing a lot, you just, that becomes your automatic go-to. But if you haven't been doing that and a horse bolt, generally speaking, people lift their 90. They're hanging on the reins, the horse takes off and they go, ah, and both hands come in the air like this. And I call that just very similar to lifting your 90. And you can't ride a horse very well when you're lifting your 90. So you should be bending the horse using lateral flexion, reach down and bend him. That should be your automatic. When that horse bolt, boom, you bend him. But you've done it so many hundreds and hundreds of times that even in a bolting, scared situation, the horse still goes, oh yeah, I know what this is. And it's something to come home to for him, but it also keeps you in the saddle. So that's what I would say about that, because if you're not getting the spook out of your horse and you're not getting the bolt out of your horse yet, in the meantime, you want to stay on. And so bending them is real hard for a horse to bolt if you bend them. But it sounds like a confidence problem. But having said that, this young colt, he got spooked up today. I put him on a long line and I asked him to jump up into the canter a little bit. And he was playful and he took off 90 miles an hour, and he's not used to having anybody direct him anywhere. So he flew down there, and I was giving as much rope as I could on the 22-foot line, but I was running out of rope and I pinched down on him just a little bit. He slid to a stop, this colt. Like he slid to a stop and whirled around and come back. So his nose is so soft and tender, and nobody's messed with it, that even he has no clue what he's doing. He still hammered the binders like nobody's business. So if you take that to lateral flexion, you think about lateral flexion, this colt actually didn't know nothing, but his nose is so nice and fresh, and he doesn't go ahead, he doesn't stay in the halter forward, but by goodness, if that halter touches him here on the nose, he doesn't want nothing to do with running through that. So he was really putting the hammer down, going to take off, and he touched that rope and just screeched to a halt. So we can train that into our horses too. So you reach down, touch that rope. And when a horse bolts, it takes this long to go bend. How long did that take me? Well, the horse, he got one stride in, maybe it's over with. But if you lift your 90, she's all over with. So anyways, get them confident. Yes, get the flag out and be able to move your horse with the stick and string. So can you walk your horse around, throw the stick and string over him? And with the flag, can you walk your horse around and wave your flag? Can you stand over where you would sit on him? And can you walk behind him? And I get my horses so I can like get crazy whipping it around. Like you couldn't make any more noise with it. And I do a couple and I rub them. I do a couple and I rub them. I don't just stand there and go for hours and hours. The only time I would stay doing this for a long time is if the horse is freaking right out, then I'll just sit there and wait for him to think and calm down. Then I quit. So yeah, I would build his confidence and see if you can get some more of that spook out of him. And while you're learning to do that and getting that handled, make darn sure that you have a good lateral flexion.